The time is 6:15. Here is the news edited by Dilini Gunawardana, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. Landslide early warnings issued for 13 divisional secretariats of 3 districts. Sri Lanka welcomes a total of 22,200 international visitors during the first week of June. The cabinet approval is granted to reduce the price of a 50-kilogram bag of urea fertilizer. Turkish Airlines will launch direct flights to Colombo. Foreign news. Russia says its forces captured German tanks and US-made fighting vehicles in Ukraine. Sports news. The inaugural LPL player auction will be conducted tomorrow. Local news in detail. National Building Research Organization has issued a landslide early warnings for 13 divisional secretariats of the 3 districts. Level 3 warnings have been issued for the Daraniyagala and Dehiyovita divisional secretariats of the Kagala district. Level 2 warnings were issued to Yatiyantara divisional secretariat of the Kagala district and Alapatha, Nivitigala, Kalavana, Ahalyagoda and Ratnapura divisional secretariats of the Ratnapura district. Sitavaka divisional secretariat of Colombo district and Kiriyalla, Ayagana, Kuruvita and Palmadul divisional secretariats of the Ratnapura districts were issued level 1 warnings. This will be effective until 4 p.m. tomorrow. Sri Lanka has welcomed a total of 22,200 international visitors for the first 8 days of June, maintaining a tourist inflow momentum similar to that of May. The provisional data released by the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority said that the daily arrival average for month so far is 2,775. The majority of the tourists were from India, Russia, England, Australia, Germany, China and Canada among the topmost contributors of the list. SLTDA predicts that Sri Lanka could cross the 600,000 tourist arrivals mark by the end of this month, if the current momentum is maintained. The Director General of Health, Dr. Asela Gunawardana, visited hospitals of the Ampara and Batticaloa districts recently in order to observe how to improve the health service of these areas. This was organized under the guidance of Minister Keheli Rambukwala. The base hospitals in Pothuvel, Panama, Digavapia, Akkaripattua and the teaching hospital of Batticaloa were observed by Dr. Gunawardana. A program was launched to computerize the details of the patients coming to the outpatient department of the Pothuvel Base Hospital. The Swar Divi Center and the renovated urological surgery ward of the teaching hospital of Batticaloa were opened to the public. The Director General held several discussions with the medical officers regarding the issues faced by them. He promised to take expeditious action to solve these issues. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Excelsior. Live the life you want.
Continuing with more local news, the cabinet approval has been granted to reduce the price of a 50-kilogram bag of urea fertilizer sold to farmers by the 2 government-owned fertilizer companies to 9,000 rupees from 15th of June. Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Amaravira instructed the officials to convene the price committee in order to determine the price of fertilizer. Accordingly, this decision was taken. The current price of a 50-kilogram bag of urea fertilizer is 10,000 rupees. A ship carrying 31,500 metric tons of urea fertilizer arrived in Sri Lanka recently, and unloading the fertilizer is underway. Distribution of the unloaded fertilizer stocks will commence tonight. Turkish Airlines has unveiled plans to start direct flights from Istanbul to Colombo from 30th of October, targeting the peak season. The move comes after 11 years of its service to Sri Lanka. Previously, the airline had a stopover in Mali before arriving in Colombo. With a dedicated flight from Turkey to Sri Lanka, the airline said 100% seat capacity will be committed to Colombo, which will enable the airline to bring more tourists from Europe to Sri Lanka. Airline further added, direct flight to Colombo, they will utilize it to boost arrival from Europe, the US and Canada. Airline further added that with the direct flight to Colombo, they will utilize the boost arrivals of the Europe, the US and Canada. With only a few hours connection from Istanbul airport, the airline is keen on optimizing its connectivity to bring in passengers from Canada, UK, US and Europe. That ends local news.
People's Bank Excelsior, a comprehensive banking services package with a branded checkbook as well as debit and credit card exclusively for you. People's Bank Excelsior, for professionals who dare to dream.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhale.
Former Minister Navin Dissanayake has been appointed as the new governor of the Sabarkama province today. He was sworn in before President Ranil Wickremesinghe, according to the Presidential Media Division. Speaking on his new appointment, Dissanayake vowed to bring his 20 years of experience to improve the public delivery system in the province and bring much-needed reforms in the education sector in his capacity as the governor. The new governor further expressed his commitment to contributing significantly to the realization of President Wickremesinghe's projects and government policies aimed at the country's development. That came to you on Main News Story.
The Main News Story was brought to you by Siddhale Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the National Dengue Control Unit has announced a special 3-day dengue mosquito control program in the Western Province on the 14th, 15th and 16th of June. Accordingly, the program will be conducted from tomorrow with the involvement of officials of the Ministry of Health and Security Forces personnel, including the police. Since the beginning of the year, 43,946 dengue cases have been reported, of which 49.9% have been reported from the Western Province. Out of the total, 28 people have succumbed to the disease. Director of the National Dengue Control Unit, Dr. Nalin Aryaratna said, strong legal actions will be taken against the persons who keep dengue breeding grounds in their premises. That came to you on Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. Russia says its forces captured German tanks and the US made fighting vehicles in Ukraine. Taliban bans music at Kabul wedding halls. NATO's largest Air Force drill prepares for crisis situation. World news in detail. Russia's defense ministry has released a video showing German-made Leopard tanks and US-made Bradley fighting vehicles captured by Russian troops in their battle with Ukraine forces. Making a statement on the Telegram messaging app, the ministry said that servicemen of the subdivisions of the Vostok Group are inspecting enemy tanks and infantry fighting vehicles captured in battle. The international media, including the BBC and Reuters, said unable to verify the footage. A new report says the Taliban's religious police will be scouring wedding halls in Kabul, Afghanistan, to enforce a ban on playing music that they say contradicts Islamic religions on such celebrations. In an online statement, the Ministry for the Propagation of Virtue and the Prevention of Vice said that hall owners were instructed not to more music is allowed to wedding parties. Last year, the Taliban advised business owners to avoid music at public gatherings, but the ruling was not heavily enforced. NATO has started the largest ever Air Force Devel exercise in the Western Military Alliance's history, a drill being presented as a display of unity among members and partners of the bloc, as tensions with Russia have escalated following Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The German Air Force-led Air Defense 23 exercise, which began on Monday, involves approximately 250 military aircraft from 25 NATO and partner countries, including Japan and NATO applicant Sweden, according to the German Air Force. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Russia says its force captured German tanks and US-made fighting vehicles in Ukraine. Taliban bans music at Kabul wedding halls. NATO's largest Air Force drill prepares for crisis situation. That ends world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Vacancies for women from Deshak Sri Lanka for housemaids in Kuwait, Oman and Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 58 years. Contact number 037 7500 500.
The Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, in collaboration with the International Labour Organization, has announced the launch of Spark, a national youth entrepreneurship competition for Sri Lanka's next generation of entrepreneurs. Spark aims to ignite the entrepreneurial spirit among youth innovators, disruptors, thinkers, problem solvers, and creators between the age of 15 and 24. The competition offers an unparalleled opportunity for aspiring youth entrepreneurs to pitch their innovative ideas and entrepreneurial solutions to the most pressing challenges of our time. More detailed information about the competition, including application forms, can be accessed via the official website at spark.chamber.lk. Registrations close on June 23rd of 2023 at 5 p.m. That ends Development News.
Vacancies for women from Deshak Sri Lanka for housekeepers, home cooks, caretakers and home nurses in Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia and Singapore for ages 23 to 57 years. Salary starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews with foreign agents are now on. Come whether you have a passport or not. Branches, Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 037 7500 500.
Moving on to sports news, the inaugural player auction of the Sri Lanka Premier League will be conducted tomorrow at the Shangri-La Hotel in Colombo. This is the first time the tournament, which is Sri Lanka's topmost domestic T20 league with an international flavor, is conducting a player auction. Each franchise team will bring in a sum of $500,000 for the auction to bid for players, thus totaling up to an overall sum of $2.5 million from all 5 teams. That ends sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB I Am, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
People's Leasing and Finance PLC has announced the proposed acquisition of a 33% stake in First Capital Holdings PLC, signaling the beginning of a new chapter of the business growth through horizontal integration and diversification. With the proposed acquisition, which is subject to the approval of Central Bank of Sri Lanka and all other regulatory authorities applicable, PLC will be expanding their product and service offerings, resulting in enhanced revenue and profit streams that will benefit from FCH's expertise in areas such as investment banking, wealth management and securities trading. That came to you on Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all all-new NSB Itru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news. The issues faced by the gem and jewellery industry in Sri Lanka were discussed in the Sectorial Oversight Committee on Environment, Natural Resources and Sustainable Development, which met recently under the chairmanship of MP Ajit Mana Peruma. Representatives of Sri Lanka's gems and jewellery business associations participated in the committee meeting and presented the current issue faced by them. The need for a national policy regarding the gem and jewellery industry was emphasized. A proposal related to the national policy was presented to the committee. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western and sub-Ragamar provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 mm, are likely at some places in these areas. Several spells of showers will occur in the north, western and central provinces. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the Ubud province and in the Ampara and Batiklu districts during the evening or night. Strong winds, about 40 to 45 km per hour, can be expected at times in western slopes of the central hills, northern and north-central provinces, and in the Hambantota, Potlam and Trincomalee districts. That ends the weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Landslide early warnings issued for 13 divisional secretariats of 3 districts. Sri Lanka welcomes a total of 22,200 international visitors during the first week of June. The cabinet approval is granted to reduce the price of 50-kilogram bag of urea fertilizer. Turkish Airlines will launch direct flights to Colombo. Foreign news. Russia says its forces captured German tanks and US-made fighting vehicles in Ukraine. Sports news. The inaugural LPL play auction will be conducted tomorrow. With that, we bring to an end the evening news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka. Back